Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for joining us today on this live on ServiceNow event. We are today going to be talking about problem management, the evolution of problem management, and moving into Service Operations Workspace for IT service management. Thank you for joining. If you have any questions as we go through, if you could use the Q&A feature, then my colleagues who are here to assist me will be able to help you out with those questions as we go through. So without any further delay, let's get started. So the first thing, as ever, let's get the safe harbor out of the way. So we are going to be looking both forwards and backwards today. And so as a result of that, please, I will show you a system. That system is showing the Xanadu release. Please do not make any implementation or purchasing decisions based on items that we identify as forward-looking, items that are going to be coming either in a future release or in a next store release. So we will flag those up as we get to them within the session. So what are we going to actually cover today in this session? I'm going to take us back in time a little bit. We're going to have a look at the problem roles and personas that are involved. We're going to talk about really the evolution of problem management through the classic UI and how it is then moved into Service Operations Workspace in the last two releases, version 5 and version 6 for Washington and Xanadu. We'll have a look at a demo at that point. We'll talk a bit about Service Operations Workspace version 6.1, which will be our store release in November of this year. This is the forward-looking information that we've got. And then finally today, we need your help. We will definitely be looking for you to give us some assistance and guidance moving forward. So with that little teaser there, let's move forward, shall we? We've got the first poll. Again, it wouldn't be a ServiceNow poll without a ServiceNow presentation without a poll. So what I'd like to know, first of all, is where are you in terms of your problem management journey? Are you already using it in either of the interfaces, doing it externally, brand new, or actually looking at how you're going to be doing it in the system moving forward? We've got a good lot of people here today, so what we'd like to do is get to around about 70% or so of you having answered it. You're doing really well, so let's just get a few more of you going, and then we can see what results we've got. Okay, we're at 70%. Let's see if we can get a bit further. Okay, 75%. Right, let's end it there. And if you could share those results. Okay, so look at this. The majority of you are already using it, but using it in the classic interface, in classic UI 16. Really great to have you here. We've got some people already using it in SOW. Good to know. And then a few people in the external, brand new, and currently evaluating. So welcome to you all. Thanks for that. If we could move on to our next poll then, please. So there's two parts to this poll. So if we go for poll number 2, Matt, I think you're in control of that.
So I'm just looking for the launch option. It's not showing up. Hang on a second.
Okay, you need to stop sharing the first one. That's all. There we go. So second poll is around your primary source. So where do you get your primary source of problems from. So major incident, your agents, your incident management team, your problem team through the coordinator, manager, or analyst, or do you have any automated capabilities for your problem management? Okay, moving up through the percentages now. So just a few more. Okay. Just give it a few more seconds and we can see the results there. Okay, let's end that one there. And the primary area is around major incident, which tallies with a lot of what our customers are telling us. We've also got agents working on incidents and incident management team. A single person with automation, that's really good to have you here, thank you. And then the rest of them are the problem manager. Okay, so if we stop sharing that and just run the last poll, which is where else do you get them from? So selecting as many of those as you want to. If you select the ones that you haven't already selected, that would be really good. So again, we're just getting an idea of the primary areas that you're going to be getting problems from.
And Jim, if I may interrupt, we had an attendee asking where the recording would be available. All live on ServiceNow recordings, if they are made available on demand, they are on the community site. So when you go to our ServiceNow community, you will be able to go to events and see on-demand webinars under live on ServiceNow.
Brilliant. Thank you, Janet. Excellent. Okay, let's end that poll there and share the results. Okay, so a good spread again around that major incident, agents and incident team manager, and also a bigger spike around problem managers as well. So a really good and common with our understanding and our experiences of where the problems are coming from. So we've got a good representation of people here. Thank you very much for participating in that. Okay, so let's move forward then. So problem management roles and personas. So depending upon how long you've been involved with ServiceNow, we implemented a plugin and capability within the Madrid release, which was our best practices. And within that came in two key elements. The first of that were some more refined problem roles that could be used to define the responsibilities of people, and they were stacking roles. So if we're starting at the top, we're looking at the task analysts. These were the people that weren't necessarily going to be creating problems or accessing problems for updates themselves, but they would be the teams that would be investigating, maybe doing root cause analysis and providing assistance throughout the problem lifecycle. So they had read access to the problem itself and worked specifically on problem tasks that were assigned to them. Moving up the chain, the problem coordinator were the people that were handling it through its entire life cycle, assigning tasks out to those task analysts and coordinating it through. Problem managers take control of the overall process, configure a level of the problem management settings within the tool, and can also act as a problem coordinator as well. And then there's an additional role, the admin task, which can delete problem and problem task records and have some elevated rights, but again, have the problem manager and the problem coordinator capabilities as well. So these were introduced as part of the Madrid best practice plugin. And that's what I would expect the majority of people are actually working on now in terms of the process flow, the life cycle that was introduced. So being able to start at new, move to assess once you've got the problem information coordinated, and then that's your point to determine whether I actually proceed with this problem to root cause analysis or not. You could at that point, of course, determine that it was a duplicate, or that actually you didn't want to progress any further, at which point you could either mark it as a duplicate or cancel the record. And then within root cause analysis, you move forward, looking at what the cause is and identifying any fixes, any workarounds that are available. This could then lead you to either a risk accepted position, again cancel or again duplicate, or move forward to a fix, to resolve and to close. And then there's opportunities for reanalysis within that life cycle. So if you've ever got to a position and you think that your original assumptions, your original hypotheses were incorrect, then you could go back to root cause analysis and redo that analysis. And the view on the right-hand side of the picture there, that gives you the view of how it looks in the UI 16. Now, there was and still is a lot of our customers that haven't migrated to the Madrid best practice, and to help those customers move forward, we do have a migration utility which is available as an application through the ServiceNow store, which would take your current configuration and move it to the best practice configuration. And the reason I mention that at this point is because from this point forward, we're now looking at Service Operations Workspace. And when we originally released Service Operations Workspace, which was itself during San Diego release window, you were only able to create a problem record within the Service Operations Workspace. If you wanted to progress it through its life cycle, you had to go and move back into the classic UI to actually manage it through that life cycle. When we get to Service Operations Workspace version 5, which was with our Washington release this year, we actually moved that life cycle into Service Operations Workspace. So we can see prior to version 5, it was a tier 1 experience, Service Operations Workspace. So the replacement for ITSM Agent Workspace, it was primarily aimed at our service desk users. You could only create a problem and problem task. You couldn't manage it through the life cycle. And so to enable us to extend it to those personas, to the problem coordinator, the problem manager, and be able to manage it, then we had to move that into the Service Operations Workspace. And from version 5 and Washington patch 2 or later, you were able to actually work on there through the full life cycle, but only based on the best practice Madrid state model plugin. Otherwise, you're still in that previous situation where you would have to manage the life cycle within the core UI. And then this is what it was looking like. So moving the life cycle states into Service Operations Workspace, we can see then that we then are able to enjoy all of the benefits that Service Operations Workspace brings, the contextual views, the ability to change what you see based on the state and based on further information within that record, the different tab and tab views that you have within Service Operations Workspace, which allows you to open further information like service or CI information in an additional tab without losing focus on your original record. And all of the actions, all of the lifecycle actions that you were able to do at a problem and a problem task level, they were available to you within Service Operations Workspace. That included things like the create known error article. So known errors, again, a development that came with the improved lifecycle. Known error database is a separate knowledge database that gets created and allows you to specifically publish known errors or workarounds for known errors that would enable you to make sure that users were aware of issues that were in the highlights but not actually yet fixed, and the workarounds to provide them with the ability to resolve those issues themselves without actually needing potentially to raise incidents, or if they have raised an incident, then you can use the share workaround functionality as well, which would share that information with the related instance on the problem record as well. So all of the functionality that we've known and experienced within UI 16 now available within Service Operations Workspace. Obviously, if you were not in you didn't have that problem lifecycle, the Madrid, then you would still be using the continue problem button, which would push you back into the core UI as well. And then Xanadu comes along. So from a Xanadu perspective, what actually comes into problem management? So within the core UI, we've actually done some work there. So the ability to reassess your problem task from work in progress. So that's a new piece within the problem task lifecycle. When you're adding all, just basically verification activities when you're adding multiple records, adding multiple incidents to the record, just to ensure you don't add too many. Email notifications can actually be redirected to Service Operations Workspace, which was obviously a key part to be able to redirect those notifications. We've actually relabeled the first reported by field to origin task. That's a label change as opposed to a change of the underlying data. It still is the same functionality behind it, but it more reflects the correct origin of the record. And then the known error articles knowledge base integration, which had to be switched on for customers up to this point, that's now activated by default for our new users. So they would get that functionality straight away. Then the other part around the Xanadu release was actually introducing problem models. So problem models, I don't know how many of you are aware of the change model functionality that's out there, but essentially what this does is it allows you to have different behaviors based on the model selected. Now, we are at this stage putting in the plumbing effectively for how problem models will work. I'm seeing all the reactions on my screen, and I'm just waiting until I'm going to get some downward thumb reactions in a minute. At this point, there is only the ability to select and use a single problem model. It does mean that you can define your own single default model if it doesn't actually match with the problem model that we've got, but we are building this out so that we can make it available for you in a future release. So at this point in time, as an existing customer, if you wanted to deviate from the default problem model, you would have to enable it and then create your own problem model and define that as your default problem model. So that's fully available for you. If you're happy with it as it is, then you have to do nothing at this stage. But the idea is that we will be iterating across this over time until we get it to a point where it's absolutely ready to use, and you can then start extending your problem usage wider across the business non-IT scenarios as well, which is a key thing, key use case that we see for this, but also considering items such as major problems versus non-major problems as well. So being able to apply approvals, greater reviews, and that kind of thing. This is the vision that we have for the future with this. So we are now positioning ourselves, moving ourselves into the position where we can actually look to support that in the future. What else have we brought out? So we are moving to a centralized configuration model. We've heard a lot of talk from our customers about the fact that configuration is spread across the platform. And so we are looking to standardize on our configuration activities. We have an area called Configuration Hub, and within that we have jump off points to various administration centers for the various applications that we've got. And through the SOW admin center, we have provided access for problem management and indeed change management within SOW version 6 to actually help you with the configuration, a central place to be able to configure the tool, to be able to look at things like the dynamic overview tabs, what sections, what containers, what fields do we want to show, and then on the details tab, what fields do we want to show and how we're going to actually configure those to behave. It will give you links out to the form builder application where you can actually start to make amendments if you need to or want to, and that's all available through the SOW admin center. We've also extended so that we can allow task analysts to manage their problem tasks within the SOW problem capability. Again, moving away from the classic UI 16, and we can actually support that in SOW. And again, reassessing problem tasks, that's now across the board. If you are a customer that's using defects or enhancements, so you're using strategic portfolio management, the agile modules, or you're using continual improvement manager, you'll be able to create links. You'll have shortcuts to be able to create those links and those records linked to the originating problem record as well. So again, full life cycle, full traceability within that. And then, as I said, the overview tab, the dynamic views. And again, the requirement for doing this, you must be on that best practice state model. And we have the migration utility to help you get there. So how does it look? So it looks a little bit different than it did before. The contextual help is there. We've got a different view for creating a problem. So you can actually define what you need to fill in to create a problem, and then how does it actually look when you get into the problem record itself. So we've got the dynamic overview, we've got record information, which is contextual. You can see milestones within the problem lifecycle itself. As we get into the problem models, then your state ribbon across the top will show the actual states that you're expected to use within that problem model as well. And then we can look at the tabs as well. So what tabs are available, what information do we want to use? So, we think it's definitely a really good innovation and evolution of problem into the latest version. And this is where I was talking about problem management and the admin console for that within SOW Admin Center. So you can see how you can globally switch off the overview tab if you don't want to see that, and that's a consistent action that we can apply across multiple records within IT service management. And then if you don't want to do that, you want to be able to look at the containers that you have, and how do I actually define those fields, those sections, and what do I see? And then the details tab as well. a quick leak through to configuring the record as opposed to what we've been doing previously. Okay, I've talked a lot. I've seen you ask a lot of questions. I've seen all the good reactions, all the bad reactions I haven't seen. I'll just pretend they didn't happen. Let's have a look in the tool, shall we? So let's see. So this is a Xanadu release. At the moment, I'm just logged in as an admin user. So I'm going to firstly go in and show you the admin center and see what that actually looks like for you. So I've gone to the configuration hub and opening that up now. And we get into the admin center for SOW. So you can see here now that we've got our various options for configuration. So this has extended over the past 6 to 12 months. Originally, it was just 2 boxes that you could select from. But in the last 6 months, we've had a lot more functionality come through. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to select configure problem management. It'll take me through to the problem management area. So just as we've seen on the slides there, we've got the overview tab. So do I want to switch this off and just go straight into the problem record, or do I want to actually configure it? And then the containers. So the containers are the general boxes that you want to show on the overview tab. And then within those containers, you can have sections of information and the fields that are going to be shown in there. And then the details tab. So this is then the full details tab. And if I select configure on there, then we can see that it will take me straight into Form Builder. It will try and take me into the old form layout view the first time. But if I try and do that, it will recommend me to come through to Form Builder. And one of the benefits of Form Builder is that it actually enables you to kind of drag and drop existing fields, create new fields, and very much a comparable way of creating the problem page view, or any page view, in fact, but in the new interface. It also allows you to define various different rules, so you can actually also create UI policies on these pages as well, but also it'll show up. So this, for example, is already covered by a UI policy elsewhere, but it will show you fields that do have behaviors against them, so that you can identify that. And if it's available in the form builder, it will show in this right-hand column here. And if it's not, then you know that you can go to UI Builder to actually make those amendments. And then we've got similar for problem task record, but it's just about configuring the problem task. Now, of course, we have the opportunity to define different problem task types, and we would still do that through the core UI, but that functionality is still available. So originally, our default configuration is a general task and a root cause analysis task. If we wanted to add more, then we can still do that through the original settings, but that's still there. And in the meantime, we've got the ability to configure the forms for the problem task here as well. Okay, before I go into problem, are there any questions in the chat that you need me to answer or cover, or are we all good at this point?
There are so many questions in here. I'm not sure. We're trying to catch up.
Okay. Okay.
One of the questions that I'm sure you can answer is, will Now Assist help with summarization too?
Oh, what a wonderful question. Matt, where is Now Assist on the roadmap for problem?
For those of you that have been looking at the chat, as I've been saying, we can't say if or when that will happen, but it is on the list of possible things. I'm like a broken record. You've seen that same answer quite a few times, but it's on the list of possible things, basically.
Okay.
We are going to be looking at.
Okay, brilliant.
But some of these things, whenever you're thinking that, there's going to be a bit at the end where Jim says how you can help.
Yes.
That could be how you get involved in some of that stuff as well to work with us. But yes, keep the questions coming. We're doing our best to answer them.
Okay, we have got one raised hand from Greg. I don't know, can we mute or unmute people here, or is that not possible in this?
I don't think it is possible. Let me just see if I can find it. Is that Greg McDermott?
Yes.
Okay. Well, is it the same? Greg, hopefully it's the same question that you just posted in the chat, asking about if the overview can be exported to Word or PowerPoint or PDF for executive or regulator consumption. At this point,
yeah,
go ahead.
So go ahead, Janet.
I was just going to say at this point, no, it is not. However, I mean, you can always take a screenshot, obviously. But I don't believe that is on the list at the moment, although there may be some reporting in our future roadmap that might assist.
Yes, that's what we're thinking of. Good one, Janet. Is so again, we can't say if or when, but we'd love to talk to you at some point, because basically we're looking at adding maybe, let's say, another type or another model of problem at some point that might require reporting. So we want to be able to have reporting to be able to send out or download or send. But yeah, we can't say too much about that right now, but it is on the list of things, again, that we are thinking about and we'll probably look at, but we can't say when right now.
Yeah, there is
Excellent.
one other question as well that's here about tier 1 support teams are using interactions in SOW for daily intake, but their manager wanted to ask if they could use problem management with interactions. In other words, can they create a problem and a problem task from interaction? It's not the norm, but I can see if we're advised by somebody that there is an issue with a piece of software that's a vendor issue or something, that is definitely feasible. Any other comments, Matt?
Yeah, so there's a setting that's off by default because, like you say, it's not super common for people to do that, but there's an extra property on the problem side which allows you to create a problem from an interaction. You won't be able to create the problem task. You'd go to the problem to create the problem task, but there's an extra option that you can enable a configuration to bring to basically bring like a new problem to the interaction record itself.
Thank you.
One more I just wanted to answer as well, because I was thinking about how to type this and it might be easier to see, is
Go ahead.
or two more things. So Michael Wilson was asking about another problem feature that doesn't work, which is the closure of the problem with close notes doesn't help close all the linked incidents. Actually, that's something that it used to do that in the past before Madrid, and we got no end of complaints about that because people will close the problem and not expect to close all the related incidents. And so the way we went with that is it's not the problem's job to close the incidents. The problem can basically provide information, but what happens now is it's up to the incident side if it wants to close the incidents in relation to the problem. And going one step further, before the Madrid version of problem, if you had a change and someone closed the change, it would directly close the problem, which would directly close all the incidents. And then reopening those incidents, if you didn't mean to close them, was a bit of a challenge. So we specifically broke those ties when we did the Madrid version. So problem will listen to change and problem will make information available to incident, but incident will own what happens to updating or closing the incidents. Problem will update itself and will listen to changes and things like that. So we deliberately broke those specific hard linkages because it was leading to some unwanted side effects. But it doesn't mean that you couldn't add your own logic if you need that in your own environment. It's just something we're not going to provide in the base version. And then a second question by Mike. Mike, is it Glassgem? Might be pronouncing that wrong. Apologies if I am. Was about communicate, workaround, and fix seem inconsistent out the box. Workaround emails the user and fix only posts to the work notes. So again, that's something that's owned by the incident team, and I think they're tidying that up currently so that it will always go to the work notes at some point in the future. It's something that's being looked at the minute. Because again, the problem is just making information aware, and it's up to the incident to decide what to do with it. And I think more it stemmed from an idea place. Someone was basically saying, okay, so when you're sharing something from the problems perspective, don't make it a comment on the incident side, because it might have some information there that's not intended for the end user to see. So I think default is being changed to make it to go to work notes only, to stop that from happening. But there might be an inconsistency today, but it's being looked at being fixed to be more consistent between those two things. And basically it will always default to work notes going forward on the incident side.
Okay. Thank you, Matt. I think on that first point, my experience. So prior to working for ServiceNow, I was an implementer and an architect, and I've implemented ServiceNow at a number of different customers. And the view that I'd always taken was that problem management was a less timely activity than incident management. So incident management was about getting it fixed as quickly as possible, getting the person back up and running. The problem would come along later. So my expectation was, and I appreciate lots of customers work in different ways, the expectation from my perspective was that the incidents would likely be closed. The majority of them that were attached to the problem record, they were just more identifying the scope and scale of the issue as opposed to actually what the problem should be fixing, kind of thing. It was more about how many people have been affected by this in the past as opposed to how many people need this fixed right now. That would be more about incident management to get them up and running. Problem is the permanent fix to that. Okay, so we have moved into a different role. So I'm now working as a problem coordinator, and I've gone into an existing record for a problem management. So we can see that we've got information here. Actually, let's do it a slightly different way around. So let's go to a major incident and let's actually create a problem from here. So if I create a problem from there, so the problem record is automatically saved when you create it from another record. So we can see that I've gone straight into the overview tab of the record. Now, the reason I've done it that way around, just rejigged, is to kind of show a couple of things. So firstly, we've got our overview tab, we've got our tabbed view here, and you know, the points that I was making earlier, working in Service Operations Workspace. So for example, I've got a little eye there that I can click on and I can see the preview of that record. On my origin card here, you can see that it's actually flagged up that it's a major incident. And it's got a link straight to that record, and it's gone back to that record. But if I was to open it in its own view, it would open that record in a separate tab. So again, contextual. If I want to look at the configuration item, it'll open it in a new tab. I remember, you know, the original days working in ServiceNow where you'd have tab after tab after tab, and if you hit update rather than save, then you would be returned to some tab that you were working on maybe half an hour ago that you can't remember where you were, and then you get into this horrible kind of relationship and where was I working sort of thing. So these are the real benefits of Service Operations Workspace. Everything is contextual. You are fully contained within the workspace. You are not going to bleed over into additional tabs, and everything will open in the context of that record. Now with the overview tab, I can also edit the record as well. So I've got the button there, the little pencil to enable me to make the changes. It's pulled forward based on the configuration settings that we've got in the tool. It's pulled forward attributes from the original incident. So we can see that it's pulled forward the task, it's got the category, it's got the impact and urgency from the incident. it's pulled forward the service and the configuration item that I can see. I can actually assign from here. So it's already pulled forward the original group, but I could edit the assignment here. I can assign it through there. I can assign it to an individual. I can use the data within the system to actually drive that. And then understanding the impact. So if there were linked outages, they would come forward. If I linked duplicate problems, it's all here. This overview tab is really good. Now, I think Matt's point about summarization is key. You know, at the moment, Now Assist is obviously a massive flavor, and a lot of the effort is going into change management and looking at that and how we improve that. And change management in our latest releases gets summarization, and I think that absolutely there is a case for saying summarization on problem would be a good benefit. But please, safe harbor, that is not currently assigned on a roadmap or anything like that. That is my personal opinion as much to anything else. I can just see the benefit of being able to summarize it, see the outages, see the linked items and things like that. If I then go into the details page, then we can see a bit more information. We can see drill down a bit further into this data, start adding in the workarounds and things like that. Those will generally come from our tasks. So let's create a new problem task here. I'm going to choose one of my options. Let's choose a root cause analysis task. And let's save that. And then, of course, the idea behind that root cause analysis task is to actually identify that information, identify what the cause is, what the cause notes, and things like that. At this stage, the existing configuration still retains, so we don't copy that information back to the problem record. And you know, I guess in a scenario where you have multiple root cause analysis tasks, then I can understand why that's the case, because you would never know which one to actually pull back. But certainly in the future, that is something that we're looking to do, to be able to pull back that information, to collate it and make it available within the problem record. But at the moment, once this task is assessed and completed, then you will have to copy that information back. But outside of that, we are, really looking at these milestones. So if we move it to assess, and we're going to assign it. So again, these pop-up boxes appear when you've got a field defined that is going to be mandatory as you move into the next state, but you haven't filled that in. So we can see here for the assess state, I need to assign it to a person within that group. So if I select that, will that work? Okay, so we've moved forward. We've got a milestone here. We've got the assigned to card has changed slightly. What else have we not talked about? So we've not talked about recommendations here. So we can actually look at items that are recommended based on this information that you've captured within the problem. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at the same incident. We're looking at the same IP address and configuration item. We're looking at the same service. We could link this incident. We could link that incident, but it's nothing to do with it. So it kind of comes back and shows you incidents and information that may be related. And similarly, we've still got Agent Assist on here, which allows you to look at knowledge articles which may be related as well. And then down here on the right-hand side, we've got templates and attachments, which have moved away from where they were, but they're now, I think, more accessible and easier to use. Another feature, if you want some more screen space to show, you just double click on the icon in the contextual side panel, and it will close that panel up for you, and you'll be able to see more on that page. And then just on the details page as well, we've just got some quick links here to enable you to change the view on that page as well. So again, just providing that ability for you to tailor what you see to what we think will help you. So let's move it through the life cycle now. So if I confirm this problem task, we can see again that my milestones are being updated, so you can understand the timeline of this problem, who's done the activities and when they've done them. Again, that contextual information, that flow of information that wouldn't have been as easily available for you in the past. And then if we go to the next state, again, this pop-up appears because we need to fill out fields. So we'll put in the cause here, and we'll put in the fix, and we can move into fix in progress. Now, fix in progress, we can link a change record to this. You know, the best practice is to do that so that we have a change record that will be the way to actually deliver that, and will give the correct governance and all of the controls that you get through change management as well. And it gives that traceability to ensure that the problem is fixed. And then we would move to resolve and close. So in terms of the life cycle, historically, we're using the same life cycle as we have since Madrid. We've made some enhancements and amendments around it, particularly around problem task and being able to reassess. If we look here, we could go back to reanalyze. So perhaps we've raised the change, we've put the change through, it's got through to review and approval, and it's failed approval for whatever reason. Perhaps it's too much impact, too many people, costs too much money, those kind of things. So we can actually move the problem back in its life cycle. So we can see that the state here has now gone back to root cause analysis. The milestones have shrunk back to where we were before. So that's certainly something that we would look to do, but we would capture all of that information in terms of the change of states and the reversal of states as we go through in the activity as well. So problem management, the Madrid plugin is key, because that introduces the best practice and the workflow and the additional roles. There is a migration utility that will help you get to that if you're still using the original problem management functionality. Then that will allow you to move into Service Operations Workspace and get the benefits of what Service Operations Workspace delivers to you, the contextual views, the contextual information, the ability to see, to preview, and everything that I've kind of shown you here today. So in terms of what we sort of wanted to talk about today, the next thing would be just briefly highlighting what we are expecting to come in November. So this is subject to change. This is our primary reason for our safe harbor, although we've already talked around a couple of things there as well. But collaboration. So collaboration, if you've used Service Operations Workspace previously, or you use it for incident or major incident, collaboration is our integration with messaging tools, whether that's the internal sidebar capability, or if you've integrated with Microsoft Teams, or there's now Slack available as a collaboration tool, as well as WebEx and other tools as well. We're introducing that capability into problem management. So that will be another contextual side panel option on the right-hand side, where you can actually collaborate between teams using either Teams channels or sidebar, and then guided tour for problem. So a kind of tour of how problem management is configured by default, just to give that overview of how to use it and how to work it out of the box.